Before Jesus performed miracles, he always did something first. Not shouting, not commanding, not even touching. He prayed, but not just any kind of prayer. There was something different about the way he prayed. Something so simple, yet so powerful, that most people read right past it. And when you finally see it, it can completely change how you talk to God forever. Stay with me, because by the end of this message, you might never pray the same way again. Think about this for a moment. Every miracle Jesus performed wasn't random. It wasn't luck. It wasn't just power being displayed. There was a pattern. Before the miracle, there was a connection. Before the breakthrough, there was a moment with the Father. And one of the clearest examples is the story of Lazarus. Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. 4 days. By that time, and people had already lost hope. The situation looked final. The kind of situation where everyone says, "It's over." And Jesus shows up. Now imagine the pressure in that moment. People crying, Martha and Mary grieving, a crowd watching, wondering what he would do. If it were us, we might panic. We might rush. We might start begging God desperately. But Jesus didn't do that. He stood there, calm, focused, certain. And then he looked up, not down in fear, not around in confusion. He looked up and he spoke. "Father, I thank you that you have heard me." Pause there for a second. Did you notice what he didn't say? He didn't say, "Father, please raise Lazarus." He didn't say, "God, if it's your will." He didn't even ask. He said, "Thank you that you have already heard me." Before the miracle happened, before Lazarus moved, before anything changed, Jesus was already thanking God. Why? Because he was certain. He wasn't hoping God would act. He knew. And then, after that prayer, he called out, "Lazarus, come forth." And the impossible happened. A man who had been dead walked out alive. But this wasn't just a one-time moment. Look at another situation. Thousands of people are gathered. They're hungry. There's no food, just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Not enough, not even close. Again, a situation that looks impossible. And what does Jesus do? He takes what looks like nothing, he lifts it up, and he gives thanks. Again, not after the miracle, before it, before the food multiplied, before the solution appeared, he gave thanks. And somehow, what wasn't enough became more than enough. Now pause and really think about that, because this is where many people miss it. We celebrate the miracle, but we ignore the moment before it. We focus on the result, but not the relationship. We want the outcome, but we don't always practice the trust that comes before it. Let's go deeper. Why would Jesus thank God before anything happened? Because his confidence wasn't in what he could see. It was in who he knew. He knew the Father. He trusted the Father. There was no uncertainty in that relationship. And that changes everything. Because when you truly trust someone, you don't need constant proof. You don't need to beg over and over. You rest in the assurance that they hear you. Now bring this into your life. How many times have you prayed and immediately started worrying again? How many times have you said, "God, I know I trust you," but deep inside, you're still anxious? We've all been there. You pray, and then you overthink. You ask, and then you doubt. You believe for a moment, and then fear creeps back in. But Jesus shows us a different way. A way where prayer isn't driven by panic, but by peace. A way where you don't just speak to God, you trust him. Let's talk about another moment. There was a storm. The disciples were in a boat, and everything around them was shaking. Waves crashing, wind roaring, fear everywhere. And Jesus, he was asleep. Think about that. In the middle of chaos, he was resting. Why? Because his trust in the Father was unshakable. So when he woke up, he didn't panic. He spoke, "Peace, be still," and the storm stopped. Now imagine having that kind of peace, not when everything is perfect, but when everything is falling apart. That kind of peace doesn't come from control, it comes from trust. Here's something powerful. The way you pray shapes the way you live. If your prayers are full of fear, your life will feel full of fear. If your prayers are full of doubt, your life will feel unstable. But if your prayers are filled with trust, you begin to walk in peace. Let's be honest again. Sometimes it's hard to trust. When you've been waiting a long time, when nothing seems to change, when doors keep closing, it's easy to feel like your prayers are going nowhere. But just because you don't see movement doesn't mean God isn't working. Silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. And waiting is not wasted. Think about a seed. When you plant it in the ground, you don't see anything immediately. Days go by, sometimes weeks, and it looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, something is growing. Roots are forming. Preparation is taking place. And at the right time, it breaks through. Your prayers can be like that. You may not see the answer yet, but something is happening beneath the surface. God is working in ways you can't see, aligning things, opening doors, preparing you. So instead of giving up, what if you leaned in? What if you trusted deeper? What if you prayed like Jesus? Not just asking, but thanking. Let's make this practical. The next time you pray, don't just say, "God, please fix this." Try this instead. "God, thank you for already working in this situation. Thank you for making a way, even if I can't see it yet. Thank you for hearing me." At first, it might feel unfamiliar, but over time, it will begin to change your heart, because gratitude shifts your focus. It moves you from fear to faith, from worry to trust, from anxiety to peace. And here's something even deeper. Faith isn't about controlling God. It's about trusting Him. Jesus didn't pray to force miracles to happen. He prayed from a place of alignment with the Father. And that's the goal. Not control, but connection. So maybe today, God isn't just inviting you to pray more. He's inviting you to trust more, to release the need to control everything, to stop carrying burdens you were never meant to carry, and to rest in Him. Take a deep breath for a moment. Slow down. Think about what's been weighing on you. That thing you keep thinking about. That situation you keep worrying over. Now imagine placing it in God's hands. Not taking it back after you pray, but leaving it there. And instead of repeating the same fear, say this: "God, I trust you. Thank you, because I know you hear me. Thank you, because you are in control." Let those words sink in. Let them become real, because this is where peace begins. Not when everything changes, but when your trust becomes stronger than your fear. If this message spoke to you, don't scroll away. There are people right now who feel tired. People who are praying but starting to lose hope. People who need this reminder more than you know. Share this with someone who needs encouragement today. And if you're ready to start praying with confidence, like this video, subscribe. And I want you to do something bold. Go down to the comments and write, "I trust you, God." Not just as words, but as a declaration. Because sometimes your breakthrough doesn't start with what you see. It starts with what you believe.